going to start with data tables. So right now I have some dummy data. So first thing is, what is a data table and what is the difference between a data table and a normal range? So the normal range you already know, it's just a combination of multiple cells or columns or rows, right? And it has a starting and the ending a cell. Data table, on the other hand, is a named entity. So that means the table itself has a name which we can reference in formulas or in any other way that we where the range would have been required, right? So let's start by first creating a data table. So if I go to insert and I say table, uh, you either have to select the data or you must be on at least one of the cells within the data, and Excel will automatically know that this is the range that we have to select in order to create your table. There is one option which is my table has headers, which basically means that does your data have actually column names or no, right? So in this case we have the column name, so I just simply click on OK, and you would quickly see that we have the data range converted into data table, right? If I click outside this table, you would see that the table contextual toolbar has disappeared, right? If I click uh, on it again, you will see the table contextual toolbar has appeared again, right? It has all the options that you would actually need in order to change the design of the data table, rename it, and a few other operations which we will look at. So first of all, let's go from the table name. So right now by default it says table 4. It will generally start with table 1, but you can simply name it to anything that you would like. Okay, so the syntax is incorrect because you cannot have a space in between. So what we will do is remove the space and replace it with an underscore. If I click enter, now you would see that this data table is the name of this table. And if I click on the name box drop down, you would see the data table is here. And if I click on it, basically everything is selected. Okay, so that's one of the use cases for name box as well. Now let's look at the other options that we have available. We have summarize with pivot tables. We will cover this when we are going to have the session on pivot tables. Uh, it has a remove duplicates option. So in case you have duplicates, which we have actually in the data. So if I click on remove duplicates, it basically considers all the selected columns in order to find out whether you have duplicates or not. So for example, if I don't select all the columns and only select sports, wherever the value within the sports column is duplicated, it will basically remove them. So I'm going to consider all the columns and click OK, and you would quickly see that we only had originally 5 columns because I copied and pasted it multiple times. I have the option of converting it to range, which basically means that this will no longer be a table if I click on this, right? So let me undo the action that I did in order to remove the duplicates and go to insert slicer option. So we click on the table and we click on the insert slicer, and it will give you the options of all the columns that are available within your data table. So let's say I click on sports and click OK. It will take all the unique values in the sports column and give me a slicer. In this case, it's basically a filter. So I can click on any of these and get the data filtered based on this selection. Right? I can remove the filter and I can have multi-filter selected as well. So I can do multiple selection and unselections, right? So let me clear the filter and delete this slicer. Go to the table tab again, and here you would see some other options. So header row, do you want to show the headers or not? You can toggle in between. You have the total row, which I'll cover in a moment. You have banded rows. So basically, if you want the color to change on every alternate row, same thing for columns, banded columns. Right? Do you want to uh, showcase the last column or highlight it, or the first column? In case you have data that needs to be highlighted, you can use these. And then do you want the filter option on the top by default to appear or not, right? So I have this refresh button as well, and this is applicable to the data tables that are coming from external sources. So in case you have connected a CSV file or a text file or a database or any other Excel file for that matter, you can go and refresh the data here on your current sheet if it has changed in your original source sheet or source data. Right? Now let's come to the total row option. Right, so total row, as the name suggests, adds a row at the end which is for total. Let me adjust the column width, and what it does is it gives you a drop down for every column. Okay, and you can use any of the functions listed here to get an aggregate value for the entire column, right? So for example, I have count here. It tells me that I have 25 rows, right? And the header is excluded in this count, obviously. I can do count numbers. Basically, there are no numbers in this column. I can do max. I can do min, average, standard deviation, and sum by default, right? You can include more functions from here if you want to. A special feature to these aggregations. So in case you remove something from the filters on the top, these value will actually change accordingly, right? So let me just for example, this is 3440, and if I select it back, you would see 4340. Yeah, just for validation, right? So, and if you would notice here, like when I scroll down on the top, you would see the actual column names appear instead of A, B, C columns, right? This is another feature that is available for data tables. Last but not the least, in the ribbon, we have the design options. So you can basically choose from all these designs according to your choice. You can clear the formatting as well if you don't like your table to have colors, uh, and it depends on the use case that you have. But I prefer that you have some color so that it has some distinction. So let me use this data table in a formula. So I'll choose count A, which is counting all the values that you have available. And instead of choosing the column directly, what I can do is I can use the data table name directly, and within the data table I have the list of all the columns that are available. I can choose any one of them. So let me choose nationality in this case, and there you go. You have 25 as the answer, which matches. So if I go to the table total row, it would match the count from here, right? So it becomes a very easy to manage your formulas because you would know that what named table is being used and exactly what column am I using in that particular formula, right? So I'll also show you very briefly on how to summarize this data table using pivot. So if I choose a pivot option in the table tab, I can choose to have my pivot right on this sheet, let's say here, and click OK. And then I can use it how I would normally use a pivot table. Now, the dynamic nature of the table makes it a versatile object within Excel. In normal ranges, you will have to keep yourself updated about the addition of the columns and the rows, which would be difficult to manage in terms of formulas, right? Because you will have to keep your formulas in check, you will have to audit them, you will have to validate them. However, for a table, it's very easy to do. For example, if I just type in test column, I can have the column inserted into the table automatically. So now the entire uh, 6 columns are within the table, and I can actually use it as is because the test appears here in the list, right? The same thing goes for the rows. I can start typing anything here. Let me remove the total rows, right? And let's say test here, and it would basically be inserted into the table directly. Now, when you use the data table in a formula, it will automatically consider the newly added rows and columns into the formula, so you don't have to worry about managing your formulas. You can also insert calculations directly. So I'll give you a dummy calculation. For example, age plus weight, and then click on enter, and it understands that what you're trying to do is add these 2 columns, and it will apply the calculation for the entire column automatically, right? You can have any type of formula that is available in Excel to be used within the calculated columns in data table. With this, I will end the session. Thank you.